Hi, my name is Linda Latimer and welcome to my channel. I'm a watercolor artist. I create YouTube videos and have been doing those for about 8 or 9 years now. I also teach Zoom classes and I teach in-studio classes as well. One of the things that we've discovered, my husband and I, about doing these things is the lighting and camera situation, how to put up a camera, how to have proper lighting. My husband created a camera support system that will hold my camera, microphone, and all my lighting, and it has worked perfectly for me. We have created this video to help you and maybe give you some ideas on what you can do in your studio. For this video, we'll be showing you all the details, showing photos of all of the equipment and parts that we've used. I hope you enjoy this video. Stay tuned. Here it is.
We talked earlier about having an overhead system for video lighting and mounting video cameras. This is it. It's a framework, and we will be mounting lights, cameras. We'll have brackets where the cameras can hang down over the workspaces. The lighting will be plugged into the plugs that we talked about earlier up here in the corners. And then there's another plug on the other side for the lights on that side.
Let's start by talking about and showing you what you will need to build the support system. Quite often during this presentation, I will be referring to the support system simply as the rack. The material we used is 5/4 inch by 4 inch by 12 foot primed finger joint wood board. The actual dimensions are 1 1/4 inch by 3.5 inches by 12 feet in length. We chose this trim board for several reasons. They are manufactured based on a finger joint system, free of defects, of excellent aesthetic quality, with tremendous mechanical and physical resistance. They do not warp like traditional wood products. They have very smooth, ready-to-paint surfaces. These pieces are pre-finished with 2 layers of exterior latex primer. We purchased the wood for the rack at Home Depot. When we purchased this material in 2022, it was labeled Celex CMPC trim board. The last time I checked, this did not have this label attached.
We're getting ready to put up the final installation of the overhead system for our lighting and cameras. As you recall, before we put up the siding on the wall, we put some bracing in here so that it would support the overhead rack, and then we cut out the spaces where they go. The long pieces here are about 3 inches longer than the distance between the two walls. So they'll go into the hole on each side about 1.5 inches, and then we'll fasten them in permanently. Okay, here we go. Just put it in this recess, slide it all the way back in, which gives us just enough space to put that in right there. And then we'll do the same with the other crossbar, and then we'll put 2 other bars in between. I will come back and show you that in just a bit. Okay, now we're going to clamp these in this place. We've pre-drilled the holes, so we know exactly where they're going to go. we've got both sides the same distance. So now we'll fasten these into the studs. This will keep the boards from sliding out one way or the other, keep them right in place. I use screws rather than nails because if we decide to have to take it down for some reason, then we can do it very easy by just taking the screws out.
We finished the overhead rack by putting molding around the trim board where it went into the wall. When we started this project, we had access to the studs prior to putting up the beadboard or sheetrock, so we could add the wall supports for the overhead rack between the studs. If you do not have access to the studs because you are putting your overhead rack in a room where the walls are already finished, here is another way to mount the rack to the side walls. This will require 2 more pieces of 5/4 inch by 4 inch trim board. Cut 2 pieces to attach to the supporting side wall. Using a stud finder, screw the 2 support pieces into the studs behind the finished walls. Cut 2 pieces of the trim board the same length as the distance between the 2 support walls. Place these so they rest on the 2 pieces of trim board you have attached to the side wall. Use 1-inch corner brackets to attach the 2 pieces of trim board to the trim board attached to the 2 walls. Attach the remaining 2 pieces of trim board between the just installed crossboards to complete the grid, as we showed in the previous video. These are the parts you will need for this part of the project. In Linda's studio, she has 3 lighting stations. For each station, you will need 2 commercial 1/2 inch 3-hole gang boxes, 2 Sigma 1/2 inch 3-hole all-weather outlet box covers, and 2 red dot lamp holders. We purchased these at Home Depot. For wiring, I purchased 1 coordinate 10-foot extension flat plugs. I cut off the plugs on the end of the cords. I purchased these at Walmart. Each lighting station will need 2 floodlight bulbs. We use Sunco BR40 LED indoor floodlights. These are dimmable 5000K daylight white. They use only 17 watts each, but are the equivalent to 100-watt incandescent bulbs. We purchased these from Amazon.com.
Today we're going to install the lighting fixtures on the overhead rack for the video. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is assemble these pieces. Now, we're putting up 3 lighting stations. Each lighting station will require 2 of each of these items. First thing I'm going to do is plug those holes we're not going to be using. this will fit here, and the wires will go through the side. Now this is designed so when this is mounted on the rack, we'll be able to adjust left to right, and by loosening this screw, we can adjust the angle of the light this way. And this will be mounted here, and then this will be mounted to the rack, and the electrical wires will go through the hole. Now one of them will be a continuation, so both them sides will be open, and then the end one will have the plug on the end. For wire, I'm going to just use some extension cords that I bought from Walmart. These are 3-wire extension cords. The plug's already molded onto the wire. And this way I don't have to make up my own wires. I just cut off the ends and these ends and use it for wiring. Now, as you recall earlier, we pre-wired plugs for the overhead lighting, and they are each plug controlled by a separate switch to turn them on and off. So all I need to do then is plug this into that plug, run the wire to the boxes, and we'll get back to that in just a minute. Okay, I've cut the wires to the length that I need, and so I'm going to actually assemble this here where you can see what I'm doing. The actual assembly will have to take place after these are mounted to the wood beams that for the rack. So this is going to go to the wall plug. The wire in here. The wires are going to connect to the lighting wires, and then also to the wire going out to the second box. So the first thing I'm going to do is to attach the ground wires. And there's a place in the box to attach the ground wire. I'm going to take this piece . Probably don't even need this inside. This is made for weatherproofing for outside, but I'm going to put it here anyway. And I'm going to attach all of the black wires together. And all of the white wires together. For the second light in the series, I'm going to kind of duplicate the first process. First we're going to attach the ground wire. And we'll attach the black wires to the black wires.
Okay.
And the white wires to the white wire. Okay, here we have the plug into the wall, first light, the second light. They'll all be suspended from the rack, and we just need to do that 2 more times, and we'll have all 3 lights set up.
In this chapter, we will discuss the parts needed to assemble and install each camera bracket that will be attached to the overhead grid. We purchased all of these items at Ace Hardware. The first piece is a 3/8 inch all-thread steel rod. You will need one of these for each camera bracket. You will need two steel 3/8 inch wing nuts for each camera bracket. You will need two 3/8 inch steel fender washers for each camera bracket. Also get two steel bushings with inside diameters of 3/8 inch, outside diameters of 3/4 inch, and that are 3/4 of an inch long for each bracket. The bushings are not easy to find, so you may need to ask one of the workers at Ace to show you where they are. I suggest you take a photo of this screenshot with your phone and show them the photo. This will help tremendously. They are Hillman zinc-plated steel bushings. They are the ones in the bottom center section in this photo. You will need two 1/2 inch metal EMT conduit straps for each bracket. These usually come with two screws for each strap. The straps are Sigma steel 1/2 inch metal EMT conduit straps. They come in packets of 3. You can usually find these in the electrical department. You will also need one 3/8 inch steel nut for each all-thread rod. The last piece you won't find at Ace Hardware. It is a cam-bait screw adapter. The female side accepts the same 3/8 inch thread as on the 3/8 inch all-thread rod. The 3/8 inch nut is back threaded to the cam-bait screw adapter once the camera is attached to prevent the screw adapter and camera from turning once you have the camera positioned just right. The male side has the same 1/4 inch thread found on most tripod heads and fits into the tripod sockets on most still cameras, web cameras, and camcorders. These adapters can be found on Amazon.com. Just do a search for cam-bait screw adapter for 1/4 inch male to 3/8 inch female for tripods.
I'm going to show you how all this comes together here on the tabletop, where it's easy to see. Then I'll show you how it's actually done on the overhead rack. The first thing we're going to do is snap the bushings into the conduit strap. Just that easy. Just make sure that the top of the bushing and the top of the strap is even with the top of the wood. And the same for the bottom. You want them aligned with the bottom of the wood. Now they're going to look like this, mounted on the rack overhead. Now that the straps and bushings are in place, we're going to place the all-thread through the bushings like so. The first thing I've done is to put a wing nut in position on the all-thread. Now I'm going to add one of the fender washers. We're going to place them through the bracket. Place another fender washer on there and then another wing nut. It's just that simple. Now on the other end of the ball thread, we're going to place the 3/8 inch nut and then the cam bait screw adapter. And to tighten them in place, you just back thread the nut and they stay in position. Just that easy. You can change the positions of the cameras up and down by loosening the wing nuts. Moving the rod up or down, and then retightening the wing nuts.
Now let's actually install the brackets on the overhead grid. Here's a close-up view of how the brackets look after they are installed. The simplicity of this system is that you can place as many of these brackets on the overhead grid as you want and wherever you want. You only need one all-thread rod for each of the cameras you may be using at any one time, and move the rods to wherever you need the cameras placed. If you use a smartphone as your still camera or video camera, you can use this setup as well. There are a number of smartphone devices that have 1/4 inch screw mounts that rotate 360 degrees. This one is specifically for iPhones. Here is another tripod mount adapter that works for most smartphones. It also has a 1/4 inch screw socket and also rotates 360 degrees. I found both of these on Amazon.com. This photo shows the standard 1/4 inch tripod socket on the bottom of Linda's Sony CyberShot camera. This camera has a 30x digital zoom and also records video at 1920 by 1080p. As you can see, the cam-bait screw adapter fits perfectly. As you saw earlier, the webcam we use has a swivel base that allows the camera to swing 90 degrees so that you can aim it downward. If you use the cam-bait screw adapter on most cameras, the camera lens is aimed to the side, not downward. But do not worry, we have a solution. This is a Manfrotto tilt head for monopods with a quick release camera plate. These are also available at Amazon.com. This photo shows the tilt head from the top and bottom, and an extra quick release plate that attaches to the tripod socket on the bottom of the cameras. The socket on the bottom of the tilt head fits perfectly on the 3/8" all-thread support rods. You can purchase extra quick release camera plates, so you can have one for each of your cameras.
Okay, now that the quick release plate is attached to the bottom of the camera, here we have the tilt head to connect them together. That's all there is to it. Now notice where the all-thread goes into the base of the tilt head. If it's hanging straight down, the camera lens is pointed to the side. To correct this, we just loosen this knob, turn this, tighten the knob again, and now the camera's pointed downward. To release the tilt head from the camera, just press this and they come apart. Now let's do the same thing for the video camera. Once again, we have a quick release plate on the bottom. Place them together like so, and they're connected. We've already changed the position where the all-thread goes into the base of the tilt head, and it's pointed in the right direction now. Once again, just to release this, pull back on this lever, and they come apart. It's just that simple.
The beauty of this overhead support system is that you can easily add more camera brackets and all-thread rods wherever and whenever you need to. You can use them to support additional cameras. As an example, Linda has found that for some of her Zoom classes, she likes to have a separate camera aimed at her watercolor palette. We have also added an additional all-thread rod to support a studio microphone. For this reason, we keep a supply of all the necessary parts available in the studio.
I have 3 lighting stations where I can take still overhead photographs, record overhead YouTube videos with my camcorder, record using my webcam for Zoom classes or while teaching my in-studio classes. In the first 2 photographs, you can see I have one of my cameras set up for taking photos of my paintings that I will make into cards or prints to sell. In this photo, I'm using my Canon camcorder to record a video segment for one of my YouTube tutorials. Here I am using a webcam while I was teaching an in-studio class. Notice that the image on my computer monitor
is duplicated on the large screen TV so the students can all easily see what I'm demonstrating. I usually use this lighting station and webcam when I am teaching Zoom classes. Sometimes I will add an additional webcam specifically aimed at my watercolor palette.
I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it gave you a lot of ideas for what you can do in your studio for your camera and lighting situation. This has been a very inexpensive and efficient way to provide the camera support system for my studio. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.